To see her now, you would have no idea. She spends a lot of her time on the stage, acting, dancing. 19-year-old McKenna Lumley is heading into her third year at the University of Windsor's School of Dramatic Arts. But when she was 4, she was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor. After surgery, there were real doubts about how life would turn out for her when she grew up. McKenna is here in our studio this morning to share her story. She is having a fundraiser tonight. It will benefit the Windsor Cancer Center Foundation to do local brain tumor research. Also in our studio is McKenna's mom, Karen Metcalfe. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
So McKenna, how are you doing now? It's been 15 years since you were diagnosed. Are you doing well?
Yeah, it's almost a bit like it happened to a different person. The type I had was a pilocytic astrocytoma. Occurrence usually recurs within the first 2 years. If occurrence does happen, it has to be treated as cancerous. I know more than one person this has happened to, but for my family personally, it was the 2 years passed and went, okay, I think we're good. Then 5 years passed, it's like, yeah, this is good, we're good. And then, now 15 years have passed, it's like, that was a lifetime ago. Probably less so for my mom, but definitely for me.
Yeah, Mom, fill us in. How did you know something was up?
Well, in retrospect, there were a lot of signs, but when it really came to a head, it was that she had a fall on the ice, which we thought was like a whiplash. But it became clear within a couple of weeks that she would go to sleep at night. She would wake up around 5 a.m. She would scream with pain, saying her neck hurt, and then she would throw up. And so that was probably the main sign. There were a few things before that that happened that, she'd go to put her head back to wash her hair and she would say, that's it. And I thought she was being stubborn, not putting her head back, but it was really a sign that there was something blocking her movement from putting it back. And once that throwing up happened, we went through cycles of about 2 weeks of going to the doctor where we thought it was the flu. And then I sort of realized that my 2-year-old who was around her brother, wasn't getting sick and neither was I. And I was cleaning up vomit every couple of days. So, we realized that this was something more serious. And then, also she had some dizziness. She was sort of walking sideways a little bit more, so was off balance. So these are kind of the typical signs that you see for a lot of people with brain tumors. And if you're older, you often have headaches or seizures. But McKenna couldn't tell me at 4 that she was having headaches, so I didn't recognize that sign.
How serious was the diagnosis? What did you know about the likely outcomes for her at that point?
So when we first got the call, I think the original scan they thought was a GBM, which is it's the one Gord Downey had. So the prognosis is not very good. But when we got to London, they did another scan. And it was life-threatening because the growth was growing in her brain. So it was life-threatening in terms of having to remove it. But in terms of thinking through a future, they did say that the path that if it was, the removal went well and you had that first couple of weeks out of surgery going well, that the prognosis was pretty good.
McKenna, what do you remember of that time?
Not as much as my mother, thankfully. That's probably for the better. Most of my memories from the hospital are pretty positive ones, actually. I remember physiotherapy. I remember I had an incredible child life specialist. I was at Children's Hospital in London. So they're really good at making sure you're a kid first and a patient second. I remember the day I went to the hospital. I was playing in the kitchen with my little brother, and my mom was roasting beets in the oven. I remember this because she has not done that since. And she got the call, and we went to the hospital. And I'd been in the paper for a small business my mom used to have a couple weeks earlier, and the lady knew my name at reception. I turned to my mom. I said, she knows me because I'm in the paper. And my mom was thinking at the time, I found out years later, no, she knows you because she thinks you're going to die.
Oh, dear.
So then I was in the hospital, and I got a glitter wand, and I got to ride in the ambulance and head up to London. And I used to growl at my doctors every time they came in for a procedure. No, it was my child life specialist I growled at. I used to say goodnight to my doctors every time they came in for a procedure because I was just done with all the needles.
Yeah, it's funny how, as a mom, I'm sure your memories are very different.
Very different.
But for you, it seems a bit more positive when you look back. Now, what kind of things were you told you would have limitations on that you've actually not had any limitations on?
The first one that pops to my mind is more the anecdotal one, but my mom was asked what to expect when I was being brought in for surgery, and the resident turned to her and goes, well, I wouldn't expect her to be a ballerina because cerebellum affects coordination and stuff like that, and it makes a lot of sense. Well, I've now been dancing ballet for about 10 years, starting in Shiketi, now I do Russian. And the other thing was, and a lot of people with brain tumors, or any kind of brain thing actually, are expected to experience academic limitations, learning disabilities, which I do have. So it wasn't really always an expectation by necessarily my medical team that I would seek higher education. I think it was always highly encouraged by my family, though. On my mom's side especially, I come from a very academic family. And while I'm now going into my third year of university here at UWin, School of Dramatic Arts, and I'd say I'm doing better at university than I did in high school. So look at that.
Unbelievable. What does that say about her personality?
Yeah, she definitely, once she finds her groove and found her way to use creativity and expression, she definitely goes for it.
Tell us what's happening at the fundraiser.
Yes, we have our incredible second annual Connecting for a Cause event this year. It is a great event my mom puts on to bring together the brain tumor community in Windsor. And just huge shout out to my mom for doing that. She is really kind of the person in the brain tumor community in Windsor. There was a time where if you got diagnosed with a brain tumor anywhere in this area, you knew Karen Metcalfe. You're connected to Karen Metcalfe, and that still holds true, quite frankly. She's putting together this event. She knows a lot of researchers through her work. Is going to be at CORE at the University of Windsor. There's going to be a lab tour. There's going to be free food. I'll be doing glitter tattoos, which are always a huge hit. There'll be some researchers, there'll be brain tumor survivors, there'll be other people affected by brain tumors. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Why is it important for you to be involved in this way?
Because so many people can't. There's a story I tell where I got the opportunity, I'm sorry if I cry, I got the opportunity when I was younger to go on a trip with other kids who had experienced health challenges. And two of us on that trip had brain tumors, me and this one other boy. Now, I got sent because I am like top 1% of brain tumor outcomes. I am the ideal outcome. I'm the kid you want to see on the poster to go, yeah, that gives me hope. Derek was getting sent on the trip because it was going to be the last trip he got to take with his family. And it was. Yes, and less than a year later, the families from that trip got the call that Derek had died. Actually, and this was a group where you like passed on like this championship to the next person, and he died the morning he was supposed to hand it off to the next person. And I didn't really think about it at the time, but I have in the years since. And he was a couple years older than me, and he was also the first person I really knew that died of a brain tumor. So he does not get the opportunity to share his story anymore, and I do. And I see that as a bit of a responsibility to be able to raise money to do this incredible research, which a lot of it is being done right here in Windsor. There's great brain tumor research happening right here. Share my story because I can. And as a responsibility to those people I know that are unfortunately no longer with us. And Derek was the first, but there have definitely been more since.
What has this journey been like for you?
When I see the outcomes now, I feel the same as McKenna. I feel like we have a responsibility to give back to the community. I see so many people now who are still struggling. There's a person in the community that I've known her for years, and I just noticed that she's just went through brain surgery, and it's a scary time for people, and it brings it back. So it's a wonderful community, but you feel better going through this when you have, maybe a person that's been down the road before and can kind of guide that a little more and give you that little bit of hope. And I do appreciate the researchers at the university. I know that doctors and healthcare workers are front of the line, but it's researchers that find the cures. And so it's very important to our family to make sure that we try and, create a world without brain tumors in the future.
Thank you so much for coming in this morning. For people who can't see, there's not a dry eye in this studio. I do appreciate you coming in, and you are such a light. Thank you, McKenna.
Thank you so much for having us.